Why would I make them so uncomfortable?
It probably has to do with your reputation. They feel your methods, your theories are...
Spooky? Do you think I'm spooky?
His face was so blank and expressionless. He didn't even seem human.
I'm not turning my back on anyone!
Have you ever found a metal implant in your body? Have you checked everywhere?
Mulder, you have to understand!
Put it down!
You put it down first!
Gully!
Should this be a free podcast? Because it's part one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys hear that?
With
decision making.
We lure him in the door. We lure him in the door with part one of a two-parter. It's got two SNL veterans, two veteran comedic actors randomly showing up on the X-Files.
Oh, yeah. Welcome.
Hello.
That's how we begin this. Hi, everybody. Get energized. We're energized. Welcome to a new free episode.
On my level.
Yeah,
fuckers.
Welcome to Fox Mulder is a Maniac.
Oh my goodness, he sure is. Is.
Yeah, the show about Fox Mulder and other people.
People in his orbit, the people whose lives he destroys in his wake.
Yeah, look.
Just like Godzilla churning through those boats in the middle of the ocean.
Exactly.
It's relentless, like the passage of time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, he is inevitable.
But somehow even more destructive.
Yeah.
He's accidental Thanos.
Yeah, he's... Mulder is slowly but surely wiping out half the universe.
Yep.
Yeah, for people who are new, this is normally a Patreon exclusive podcast about Fox Mulder, but this one is free. Yeah. And if you're interested, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed to get the rest of episodes. That's out of the way. We're covering season 6, episode 4, otherwise known as Dreamland, part 1. Tom, we've gotten through 6 goddamn seasons.
We have.
That's incredible.
Man. This.
I thought we covered Triangle last week.
I thought it would
Dreamland
take us so much longer to get to this point.
I thought I'd be like 60.
Right. We started the show just a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And already we're halfway through the series.
We've covered the movie. It's amazing.
The fucking movie already.
We're too good. We're too good at what we do,
I think
Tom.
We're too good. We need to be less good.
We need to be less good.
Mm-hmm.
This is, of course, the body swap episode, 2-part episode where Mulder swaps bodies with Michael McKean.
Yeah, this is the one where Mulder and Michael McKean swap bodies. They recreate the very famous Marx Brothers mirror gag from
Duck Soup.
Duck Soup. Yeah, Duck Soup.
Yeah.
I almost said Animal
Great
Crackers,
film.
but that's not right.
I have a little information about that. Both David Duchovny and Michael McKean watched Duck Soup to prep. I don't know why they had to do that.
Because they mimic the moves almost exactly.
Oh, is it the exact same moves as Duck Soup?
Right up until they start doing the Cabbage Patch, it's the same moves.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
The routine took a week and a half to practice. They had a metronome on set so they could keep time.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, of course, that set was made of 2 different identical sets with a glass in between instead of a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know if it was a glass. Probably for lighting. They probably didn't have anything. But, yeah, so that's a really cool effect. They thought they were going to do it digitally, and they turned out that they didn't need to.
There is
they were up for
one
it.
digital effect in there, and it's when he breathes on the fogs on the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to know how this all started, I'm holding in my hand the end and the beginning, an official guide to the X-Files.
Oh, you got the fucking text.
I got the new one. Yep. This will last us a season. In 1995, one David Duchovny in May. Oh my God, in May. It's May, Tom, and this was in May.
Yeah.
When David Duchovny guested on Saturday Night Live. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, this would have either been for the X-Files movie or for playing God.
Yeah. And Michael McKean happened to also be on the cast for that year. And he thought David Duchovny did a great job. And he was a fan of the X-Files. He had been watching the X-Files. And he approached David Duchovny and said, "I'd love to do an X-Files someday." And David Duchovny said yes.
I mean, what else if Michael McKean comes up to you? It's like, I kind of want to be in your show sometime. It's like,
right.
Yeah, you're going to say yes.
Cut to 3.5 years later.
Yeah.
And this episode was getting made. This was originally cast, they originally wanted Gary Shandling, which they got him later.
They did get him later.
Boy, did they get him later.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael McKean was near the top of the list. And they got him, and McKean was very into the role.
It's a fun role to get to play.
He gets to play Mulder.
He gets to play. What's funny? Oh man, we can't even talk about it yet because we have to wait till we get to that
know.
section. Yeah, he is playing Mulder, but not really. Like he's just He's basically playing a guy on vacation. Like he's a guy who's like finds himself in the body of a guy that's like 20 years younger than him. So he's like, I am gonna go buck wild. I'm gonna ride this thing till the wheels fall off. Right.
Well, the way he thought of the role, because there's obviously that, but also he thought Morris is a bureaucrat at heart, and he was saying that he liked working for the FBI.
He does. We'll talk about that. He
does enjoy it.
But yeah, he does like fit in really quickly and very easily. And it's not like, I mean, he's in real life, he's like a high level government official working at Area 51. So it's not like it's that much of it's like more of a lateral move. Like he already kind of knows how to do all this stuff. But it is funny. It reminded me of like Futurama, where like no matter what they're doing, Hermes will
Fry
pull
is
out
a
like
delivery
an adding
boy
machine.
in the future. Yeah. He had one script demand, which was that he cannot die. I assume in the story, not in real life. And he later shows back up, if you remember, in season 6, episode 19, 3 of a Kind. We're going to get more Morris Fletcher.
Yeah, I was going to say he does come back. He does come back.
Yeah. This was shot. Let's see. It was shot a lot outside of Los Angeles, which was funny because they had just moved there. Lancaster.
Yeah, I was about to say, you can tell it's like out where I live.
Yeah, exactly. They did Lancaster, which is, I believe, where 7, the ending of 7.
It's close to where I live.
It's close to there. Yeah. The gas station, they actually built and exploded.
They blow it the fuck up.
Yeah. A lot of CGI for the crafts. A lot of like matte painting stuff for like Area 51. It was a surprisingly. It feels like it was a surprisingly intense script. I mean, they were outside of LA. They were like staying at shitty hotels and like in the desert for most of it. Like most of this takes place just in the desert.
Yeah.
So yeah, and of course we'll get to part 2 next week. So I guess let's start, right? Do we need to explain the plot of this? Basically, Mulder body switches with a man in black at Area 51.
Yeah.
And the man in black takes over Mulder's life. He takes over the man in black's life. And he's trying to find like alien secrets. There's like a struggle for a source. Like they have a source that
Mulder
we don't know who they are.
Mulder was driving out there to meet somebody who was apparently a source.
Yeah, and then at the very end, Mulder, the man in black in Mulder's body, betrays Mulder, and he gets arrested, and he's like, Scully, would I do this?
Yeah, he basically, Morris Fletcher in Mulder's body dimes Morris Fletcher out as the source. So Mulder in Fletcher's body gets arrested by the military for, I don't know, the 5th time?
Yeah, something like
that.
How
many times has Mulder been in military custody?
Next time it's free. So they punched his card. It's
how many times has he almost just been executed by the military?
This time, if they knew it was him, because they don't know it was him, if they saw him, they'd be like, all right, come on, Mulder. And it'd be like, it's like, do you remember, man, what a reference, Home Improvement, where whenever he goes to the hospital, they all know his name?
Yeah.
It's like that. When he's in a military prison, they're all just like, hey, Mulder, how's it going? He's asking how the guards' families are, you know?
Yeah, when the military comes bursting in at the end, they originally start going towards Mulder.
Yeah.
Like Fletcher in Mulder's
weird.
body. And he's like, no,
yeah,
that guy.
Sorry.
Oh, really?
Force of habit.
Oh, all right.
That's new. All right. Well, let's get into World's Luckiest Detective, as in moments in which Mulder profoundly lucks out.
Yeah, his detective style, if you're just tuning in for the first time, since this is a free episode and all, his detective style is very often it's very Kramer from Seinfeld, as he just stumbles ass backwards into blind luck.
Yeah.
And that begins almost immediately in this episode.
Because what's happening is an experimental aircraft, the warp drive, is creating whatever.
This was some top shelf gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Like they were like, it's creating a fold. It's like it uses anti-gravity, which creates a rift in the space-time continuum. And it's like, I think they're tinkering with 0-point gravity like now, and that's most definitely not what it does.
Yeah.
It doesn't warp reality.
But it does in this case.
Sure.
And it body swaps Mulder and Morris, which we learn later that it's not it's pretty rough about body swapping. Like, it does it a little bit, but it'll also just melt you into a rock or into the ground.
Right. It's like part Freaky Friday and part Annihilation.
Yeah. So, like, it's extremely lucky that Mulder was standing exactly where he was standing, and Morris was standing exactly where he was standing. And the fact that they just get there at just the right time to see the UFO, it's incredible. And then the overall idea that Mulder gets basically a vacation in Area 51, like bigwig. Like that's huge for Mulder.
Mm-hmm. And also, the second he gets into the car, as Fletcher, as Morris, he gets into the car.
Yeah.
And then, like, the guy behind him is like, Morris, what are you doing? And he doesn't know how to respond, obviously. And Mulder is terrible at bluffing. Mulder can't bluff. He simply cannot. We've talked about him being in just sabotaging an improv troupe before.
I would love to see him in an improv troupe. Yeah, he cannot think on his feet.
Absolutely can't think on his feet. So this guy asks him, Morris, what are you doing? And Mulder fucking freezes.
Of course he does.
Just instantly freezes.
He goes like, Morris, and he is saved by his friend.
Right, his colleague like just swoops in and just like very like Fast and Furious 7 reshoot style, just like laboriously explains Morris's thought process. He's like, nah, those were FBI guys. We can't just disappear FBI guys. Morris was probably thinking we should let their superiors, or we should let our guys over at the FBI take care of these two. Isn't that right, Morris? Isn't that what you were thinking, Morris?
And he's just like, yeah.
Like he barely has the presence of mind to agree with that. Like that's how frozen he is.
Yeah. He gets saved. It's like Freaky Friday rules where people keep just like swooping in and being like, well, you meant this, right? Surely this is what you like. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of like, come on, Morris, I'll drive you home. And it's like, otherwise.
Yeah, at any other time, like in real life, if you, particularly like when Mulder gets to Morris's house and like has to deal with Morris's wife, Nora Dunn. And he's just making everything worse because he doesn't know who his kids are. Like, he doesn't know what their names are. The point I'm trying to make is, like, when you're not in a movie and somebody starts to behave like in real life, like they've been Freaky Friday'd, where it's like they don't seem to know what you're talking about. They're confused. They appear disheveled. That is a huge, huge cause for alarm. In any circumstance that's not in a Freaky Friday movie, it's like this person is having some sort of episode where they've broken from reality.
Yes.
Like, this person needs to go to the hospital right now.
Yeah. And, I mean, I want to get into this later, that Scully really should have brought Mulder to the hospital. Like, she even says later, I think you might have a head injury.
Right,
and it's like seriously, Scully.
The way he's behaving, it's like, did you... Like, if it wasn't the X-Files, like, Scully as a medical doctor would be sitting there thinking, like, fuck, did he have a stroke? Like,
yeah.
Something is wrong. Like, he's
something
confused.
Is very wrong.
He doesn't know what anything is. He's not acting like himself.
Ass.
And that's, I said he's not acting like himself, but we got to put a pin in that until we get to the next section.
Yeah, we really do. I don't really have much else for World's Luckiest Detective.
Yeah, honestly, it's mostly the beginning of it. It's standard Mulder luck, where he just happens to be at the right place in the right time to get body swapped, right. And then the rest of it is Freaky Friday luck.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, Michael McKean...
Of course, this is what you meant, Morris. Oh, yeah.
Like, Michael McKean is just gliding through with blunt force confidence. Like, he's just behaving however he wants and is not he's not acting like he's confused. Mulder is behaving strangely and also like he doesn't understand what's going on.
Right.
So like he doesn't even have the wherewithal to pretend. Really? Well, he does a little bit, but he has to we were talking about that scene in the car where he just immediately freezes the second somebody asks him what he's doing.
Right. It's not that he doesn't want to pretend. It's that he's just
can't.
bad at it.
Mulder has no imagination. He really doesn't.
Which is wild for a man who does what he does. I mean, it's all in books though. Like it's all.
It has to be written down. He's fascinated with sports because of the stats.
Right.
Like the X-Files is like he keeps these. He has an the only reason he is able to call these scenarios up is because he has an encyclopedic memory of every X-Files case.
Yeah.
So it's just recall. It's not imagination.
No, not at all. It's part of why he's not religious.
Yeah.
Like he can't think
computer.
that way.
Yeah.
He's a computer.
So if you type in something that he doesn't know what to do with, he's just going to sit there.
Yeah. You're just going to buffer.
Yeah, it's like when you type a fucking command into DOS and it doesn't know what you mean. It's just going to sit there staring at you.
Yeah.
Until somebody swoops in and says, "This is what you meant, Morris, isn't it?"
Right? And he's like, "Yes."
You're not a maniac, are you?
Yeah. You don't have a head injury, right, Morris?
Your blood vessel didn't just burst in your head,
You're
did it?
forgetting your children's names, but you're fine. You're probably fine.
His right eye just fills up with blood. No, he's fine. Morris is fine. He seems confused and seems to think it's the 1970s, but he's fine.
He's all right. He's doing fine. God, Mulder's brain. Last week he went into the Bermuda Triangle, crashed a boat so hard he went through time.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's body switched with a man, like on like a molecular level. Mulder's not doing good right now.
Mm-mm.
Like he has all the cancers. He's he's probably melting in a few places. He's definitely sterile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you want to get into our main event?
Let's get into the main event, man.
Yeah, let's turn on the TV.
Yeah.
Let's put on some pornography.
But cable pornography.
Yeah, let's put on some cable porn.
It had a little station identifier in the corner. I'm like, he's watching porn on cable.
Yeah, he's watching real trashy porn.
This is some desperate ass porn.
Yep. Let's take out our whip out our dicks that aren't ours, another person's.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about it in a second because it's time for Mulder After Dark.
Mulder passing out in his lazy boy.
So, remember like the movie Freaky that just came out?
Yeah.
Where in that movie she switches with a serial killer, and the whole thing is she's just like, "Oh my god, I body switched. You got to believe me, right?" Mm-hmm. And the serial killer's just like, "This is pretty sweet. I'm going to take over this girl's life." That is Michael McKean in this, and also Mulder. It's both Morris and Mulder. They both assume the other's identity, stop caring about what's going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just lets Scully walk off with a man that isn't him to get in the car and drive off, and assumes this man's life because he's just like, score.
I will defend Mulder a little bit for that because of two reasons. One, he's still pretty disoriented because it just happened.
He does try.
He does try. And but if he had tried like super hard in that initial scene while they're all surrounded by the Area 51 guys with M16s,
it would have been weird.
It might not have ended too good for them. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard because he could have just been like, detain everybody. Stop. I need to detain everybody.
I can believe that he was
or you know what? Just detain that man.
Yeah.
Detain that man. Get him right now. We got to figure something out.
Yeah, I will accept that he was. I mean, it happened
You're right,
seconds
he's
before
stunned.
that. Yeah,
he's stunned by it.
That's belief. That is acceptable that he wouldn't have thought that, especially since, like we just got through saying, Mulder doesn't think well on his feet.
Yeah, he's not good with
He's
this.
not good at calling audibles.
But
he's not good at making plans.
He still just fucks up this guy's life. Specifically his family life.
Right. He kind of tries half-heartedly for like part of the first day to not fuck things up, and then he just when Nora Dunn confronts him and she's like, do you want a divorce? He kind of says yes.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm not the man you married. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry.
Right. He in like a matter of days, he's getting kicked out of that house.
It's one night. It's one night. Yeah.
But just to back up, so the episode starts with them driving in the desert. Mulder's wearing just a t-shirt.
He's casual Mulder, yeah. Scully is in her suit.
Yes, Mulder's dressed like an asshole.
Right, yeah, Mulder's dressed like he's going to a matinee.
Yeah. And they realize this is their off time. This is Scully's day off. It has to be, right? Because she's sitting there talking about how she just wants a normal life and like how...
That's a real awkward chunk of dialogue, by the way.
It is. It's a real window into Scully, though.
Yeah, it's true.
And then she's like, "Do you just want to have a normal life sometime?" And Mulder goes, "This is a normal life."
It's like, oh my God, Mulder.
Yeah, and like that's a horrifying thing to hear.
What kind of like shrieking rats are running around inside your brain?
He's like, "This is a normal life," and she's like, "Mulder, last week you were in the hospital for crashing your boat in the Bermuda Triangle."
Yeah, and you were ranting to us about traveling through time.
Yeah. You really shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah,
God,
you shouldn't be driving a car.
Yeah, you had a massive head
You drowned.
You drowned.
You drowned in the past.
Yeah. You should not be doing anything for a little while.
There's something I cannot wait to talk about. It's the fact that Michael McKean is playing Mulder, sort of. That came up earlier. What is funny to me about this episode is that when Michael McKean takes over Mulder's body, he goes hog wild. Like, he is completely outrageous.
He starts smoking cigarettes.
He slaps
Scully's ass.
Slaps Scully on the ass.
Games.
Playing
He's sleeping
golf
with
games,
Kirsch's assistant.
Yeah, nailing an assistant. They had to make, because Mulder is such a fucking Martian normally, they had to make Michael McKean's behavior so outrageous for Scully to even notice something was wrong.
Yes, it's really funny. I also like that whenever, because this isn't the first time Mulder's had his identity assumed.
No.
Stolen in a supernatural way. If you remember Small Potatoes, it also happens. And in that one, Scully doesn't notice. And in fact, Scully almost sleeps with the fake Mulder because fake Mulder just engages in conversation with her. Mm-hmm. And it's something Mulder's never done. And so I just love that every time Mulder has his identity stolen, one of the signs of it is he's charismatic.
Right. Yeah. One of the
specifically with women.
Yeah. Like one of the signs is he's successful with women.
Yeah. It's very funny. And that's us. Like one of the signs was Scully's just like, he slept with the assistant. This can't be Mulder. She says to him, like, I want to have you checked for a head injury or drug use. And I thought, oh, that's cute. That she thinks this is Mulder off or on drugs.
Yeah, maybe that's what she's checking for. She's like, I'm worried you're not taking speed anymore.
Yeah, I'm worried that you're
I haven't gotten
addiction.
A desperate 3 a.m. call from you about Bigfoot in a while.
Yeah.
Scully, I just learned some new information about Bigfoot that's going to blow the lid off this whole thing. Mulder, it is 4:15 in the morning.
They mainly have to make him a square with authorities. That's what's really tipping off Scully, right?
Yeah. He falls in. I mean, smacking her on the ass, I think, was also
right.
That was a bridge too far.
It's a little Scully after dark because I would argue, yes, Mulder, he's a maniac. We there's a whole show about this. Mm-hmm. But then once Morris starts calling her and like telling her things about her, she should really be like, all right, well, I've seen aliens and shit. Like, yeah. I guess body switching isn't the most unusual. And in fact, this episode isn't paranormal. It's sci-fi. There's a scientific their version of scientific explanation for it.
Paranormal that you can. I'm splitting hairs here, but I see what it's not ghosts.
It's not ghosts.
It's not like metaphysical.
Yeah.
Well, it is. It is metaphysical. Okay, but I understand what you're saying. I'm splitting hairs over the terminology like an idiot.
Science brain Scully
Yeah.
There's a way to wrap her head around it. And the moment, like, this guy, Morris, starts calling and being like, I'm really Mulder, we body swapped, it would explain a lot of stuff for her.
Mm-hmm.
But she's just so Scully. And as Mulder says, he goes, that is so you. That is so Scully.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great scene.
It's a fun scene, yeah, as he's talking to her out front and Nora Dunn keeps bringing more of his stuff outside.
Yeah. As he's destroying this man's life.
Yeah, I mean, his life was already on the precipice. Like, you really get the sense that Morris is not the best dude.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He tells Scully to not get her panties twisted and then slaps her ass.
Yep. And then Scully doesn't immediately put him in a headlock.
Right. Well, it's like there's... they do cut to her at one point during that conversation where it's like he begins by saying, he's like, well, we should go straight to Kirsch about this informant that's just called you because she just got off the phone with actual Mulder. And she's like, are you sure that's really what you want to do? Just burn your source like that? And he's like, listen, little lady. And it cuts to Scully. And it really looks like she's like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to snap your arm.
Yeah.
We've
established this about Scully is like within the first season, you can tell that Scully sized up Mulder and was like, if need be, within
that first scene in when she meets him in his office.
Yeah. She's like, I can take this guy. And then the lone gunman, like it's mostly a lot of Scully around a lot of guys who she knows that she could, if needed to, incapacitate.
She has been around a lot of men that she's had to have that thought where she's like, do I... Okay.
Looking at Frohickey like, yeah, I think I can take this guy out.
I might have to fight this guy, so I'm pretty confident in my odds against all of these people.
When he slaps her ass, her face isn't like she's just like, what the absolute fuck?
She's just completely like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. Because again, it's in her head of like, do I have to, I don't know, subdue him? And then, spoilers for the next episode, yes, she does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I lost the thread. Yeah, just Morris acting like Mulder is a whole other thing. It's a little Scully After Dark, but it's a little also just like, yeah, this is how weird Mulder is.
Yeah,
that it takes so much.
The things that he has to be so outrageous to get her to even notice, and then the things... I mean, apart from the sexual harassment, the stuff that's making her notice is things like we just said, like he's charismatic and successful with women.
Yeah.
He follows directions at work. Yeah. Like
he's paying attention to his superiors.
Yeah, he seems to actually be concerned with clearing his cases. Like, Mulder is a Martian, but he's very specific. Like he's the sort of person where, yeah, we talk about where right now he's charismatic and has success with women. It's like, no, real life Mulder like treats sex like something you keep in a specimen jar, and like that's kind of the same way he approaches everything.
There's no way he doesn't keep some of his sperm somewhere.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing I want to talk about is when they do the gag of where he comes home to Morris's house as Morris and then like falls asleep in front of cable pornography, they don't make it clear whether or not he's jerking it.
Well, I wanted to get into this
deeper. And this is what I want to talk about this as well, yes.
Let's talk about how we've talked about Morris and Mulder's body. Let's talk for a second about Mulder and Morris's body. Mm-hmm. First of all, he forgets the milk, which, rude Mulder. But anyway.
He's got a lot going on, but yeah.
He enters this man's house, and here's the thing. At this point, the family is asleep. He looks around. He tries to call Scully, right? But the phone line has an operator. So
he's on he's on like base housing.
Right, but what he could do right this second is leave. Mm-hmm. Like if he needed to. If he really was like, I need to fix this. There's another man in my body. Everything's very wrong. He could leave.
Yeah,
he could leave.
The last thing he should do is stay the night there.
Exactly.
As this person.
But he wants to punch an alien. He's like, maybe there's aliens. I'm at Area 51. Like he wants this life as much as Morris wants his life. maybe a little less, but he wants to know. He wants to find out. So he stays the night. He sees the wife. He sees the picture of the family. He knows there are 2 teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
He gets on the couch, turns on TV, finds a porn channel, and like literally shrugs and lies back in a masturbating position.
Yeah.
And then we don't see. We don't see if he takes that new dick out for a spin.
If he takes it for a spin, no, because he reclines all the way back in his lazy boy and then crosses his arms on his chest. And the thing about Mulder, is that it is completely impossible to guess, because either one is equally as likely.
But we know that Mulder loves pornography.
He does, yes.
And I guess the question you can ask about the whole series is, what does Mulder do when he watches the pornography?
Well, we've talked about it before. The times we've seen him watching it or looking at it, he's studying it.
Yes. Like Data.
Mm-hmm.
Like Data from Star Trek trying to figure out human coupling. You know, like it's that. Like, is he just watching to be like, oh, that's okay, that's what happens.
Like, it's clearly just something he watches anyway.
He calls sex lines. We know he likes having sex, or at least has had sex.
Yeah.
On Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's grave.
No doubt. Yeah.
He's rock hard for vampires.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not inconceivable that Mulder, who is a porn maniac,
mm-hmm.
is like, I need to try out this dick.
That it's not inconceivable to think that. No, it's not inconceivable to think that might be one of his first priorities upon learning he's body swapped with somebody.
It really seems, well, it's like the first thing he does alone.
Yes.
The moment he's alone, he's like, I have to jerk it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch this
dick for a spin.
Yeah, he wakes up to the porn.
Yeah,
so
he left it on.
Regardless of whether or not, because I'm sure he's like, if he just watches porn, it's hard because I'm trying to figure out casually watching porn as a thing. And it's like, is the idea that he's like, look, if I get aroused, I get aroused, then I'll deal with it. If not, I'm just watching a delightful pornography. Like, is that what's going on? Is he watching it like a movie to like see what happens in the plot?
I guess.
I don't know. But he wakes up to porn in this house, this stranger's house, with the family, full family there. Luckily, the wife, she's like, what the fuck are you doing? He mumbles Scully. Now that's telling, isn't it?
Yes.
He's waking up to pornography, mumbling Scully.
Mumbling Scully, yep.
Yeah, it's boy.
Mulder, boy. I think, like, you know that movie The Collector?
Yeah. Is that the one with Keanu Reeves?
No, that's The Watcher. The Collector's the guy on the leather mask that like sets grotesque booby traps, Home Alone booby traps for people, and then like keeps people in his collection.
Oh, okay.
I think Mulder is like kind of on that trajectory. Like, I think Mulder is gonna, like I said, he has his relationship to sex and pornography is both one of a person that enjoys that and also like disturbingly clinical. Yeah,
he's a serial killer.
Yes.
Mulder, if he hadn't found aliens, he would have been a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the whole thing. He was the FBI's best profiler.
Yes, exactly. He was their best profile for serial killers.
He's the character in The Frighteners. He's
Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs, thank you. He's my body is a roadmap of pain.
Yeah.
He's studying serial killers in the occult, and he wants to put his fucking brain in the mind
he's
of
a
them.
maniac.
Yeah. So he wakes up. Now we got the kids. He does not do good with the kids.
No. I mean,
the part with Chris where they're like, "What? You told her you'd have an answer about her nose," and he jumps to plastic surgery. I think she's a little young for plastic surgery. It's like Mulder.
Because the thing is he fucks her name up at first because he knows the two kids are named Chris and Terry. She comes downstairs. He's like, Terry, and she gets upset.
He is hacking into this girl's self-esteem.
Yeah, and then she's sitting at the table, and Nora Dunn's like, "Well, Morris, you've said you'd give her an answer," and she's like, "Well, Dad," and he's like, and they're like, "An answer about her nose." Mulder, all you have to do is say yes.
Yeah. She's a teenage girl. If you can't figure out that it's piercing related,
right? And if
say yes or no,
right? And if her mom is looking at you, if the mother is not saying no, then it must not be really that serious. So just say yes, man. Like, don't try to figure out. Don't try to guess what it is. Just be like, yes, sure, whatever it is. I'm sure it's fine.
If you're at a party and you can't remember someone's name, you say stuff like, "Oh, hey, man, how's it going?" You don't try to figure out. You don't say like, "Hey,
name.
What's up, Cornelius?" Like, you don't just throw out a name. And he add like it's Mulder. Don't like give more. Just like you said, say yes or no.
It's because he's such a
certainly don't point out plastic surgery.
He's an alien. He doesn't think on his feet. He's terrible at improv. He would drag down every improv troupe. It's just he's just data in any situation.
He's emotionally assaulting this family wearing their dad's flesh.
And this is him doing his best to not fuck anything up.
He gets upstairs because he's going to leave in the suit he wore, because of course he is. He's Mulder.
Yeah.
That's what Mulder does normally. He looks at the guy's suits and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnny Cash." And it's like you're so fucking colorful, Mulder.
Listen, he wore a tan suit coat on the episode Drive. He's trying things out.
Right. He wore a t-shirt.
He is experimenting with his personal style. Yeah.
Yeah. You think Morris, when he body swapped with Mulder, his first thought was, "Am I wearing a t-shirt?" Also, am I wearing a cock ring? Because, maybe. Like, that's the other thing. Imagine body swapping with Mulder and going to his apartment and having to deal with whatever that is.
Yeah.
Going through the drawers. We got a taste of that in Small Potatoes, where, like, the phone sex hotline leaves a message. But, like, my God. Yeah, imagine just being in Mulder's body. And, he hasn't slept or showered. You'd body swap and be like, "I feel terrible," immediately.
Yeah, you would just feel depleted.
You'd be malnourished. You'd be like, "I have sores on the inside of my mouth. I really am addicted to meth right now.
I've got really horrible tooth pain. I don't know. I think it's from just gritting my teeth constantly."
There's no way Mulder has gone to the dentist in a very long time.
Mulder hasn't been to the dentist since the 80s.
Yeah. So they do the mirror dance. I love when Mulder later gives the gas station attendant 11 cents, and he says, "Keep it," like a real hot shot.
Yeah.
And the guy really...
The guy's like, "I might have to close early today." It's like, all right, fine. Fucking don't keep it then.
Right. But the way Mulder says keep it, he's so proud of himself. And he just basically terrifies this wife and
mostly pisses her off.
Family.
Mostly just pisses everyone off.
He tries to prove to Scully that it's him, and he doesn't know her badge number, which was good gag. Because no way Mulder would know her badge number. Yeah, why would he know
her badge number? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have my driver's license number I memorized.
That's fair. When he gets dragged out, he keeps screaming, "He's not me, Scully," which in the next episode, I don't think they ever ask him to explain what that meant. They're like, "So Morris, you were screaming, 'He's not me. He's not me.'" And we sort of have this whole body switching situation.
Right, they already know about it. Like, they know that one of their pilots body swapped with an elderly Hopi woman.
Right.
And they have them both in custody.
Yeah. And I guess spoilers for this 2 parts, Mulder ultimately is not going to help out much.
Oh, no. He almost never does.
Yeah, someone figures it out eventually, and it's just very funny that it took them so long, because he is, much like when he time traveled to the Bermuda Triangle, he is not trying to hide it.
No, he's not keeping a lid on anything.
No, of course he's not. Any other Mulder After Dark?
No, it was really those 2 main ones.
Yeah, I mean, it really can't stress enough how weird it is that he immediately watches porn in this man's body. Because here's the thing: if I body swapped with someone else, doesn't matter who it is, Michael McKean, great man to body swap with. That's great. I wouldn't want to get an erection. Like, I wouldn't want to test that at all.
It would be
Like,
weird.
It would be weird. I'm not saying that, like, you'd learn to live with it. You're going to pee somehow, you know, but it would be weird. It would feel weird. It would be like, I don't want, it would be like a sleepover in somebody's body where you're like, I'm on my best behavior. I'm going to try not to, like, make any, like, cuts or bruises on this body. I'm not going to, like, you know, I'm going to try real hard to just not touch myself too much. It's weird. I feel weird. I feel uncomfortable. And Mulder puts on pornography. He is so comfortable in this man's body that he put on pornography.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I don't know how the body swapping works in this, but, well, no, we do know. We absolutely do know. They are in each other's bodies. We see it where the Native American woman swaps with the pilot.
Yes.
Yeah. Their souls or whatever have swapped.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's not that it's like, oh, everybody sees me as Morris, but I'm really Mulder. He sees himself as Morris.
Yes.
Like, they made the choice to film David Duchovny, so it would make more sense.
He also sees Morris as Morris, and vice versa. Morris sees him as Mulder.
Wait, what?
Yeah. When he looks at Morris in his body, he doesn't see himself. He sees Michael McKean. And when Michael McKean is looking at Mulder in his side view mirror,
he's seeing Mulder.
He sees Duchovny. He doesn't see Michael McKean.
That's bizarre.
So they see each other as who they actually are.
Do you think that's a cinematic choice or, like, literally what's happening?
I don't.
All I know is that when we see this outside of the point of view of the characters, it's just a Native American woman talking like a pilot.
Right.
And a pilot talking like a Native American woman.
Yeah.
So that, as I assume, is what's happening.
Yes.
Is that I'm
just saying that the episode tells us that they see each other as who they really are.
Right.
But everybody else sees them as them. And,
right.
and when they look in the mirror, they see the other person. Yeah.
Yeah. So they are in the other person's body.
Yes, but they have some sort of spiritual or some sort of something, some kind of ability like the They Live classes that allows them to see who each other actually is.
Right. Right. I think it's more, I thought it was more of like a depiction of their emotional state as they're looking at this person and they know it's not them. They know it's that person.
We don't need to get into it.
Yeah. Point is that he gives himself an erection in this man's body.
Presumably.
And that's weird. That's very weird.
I mean, not for Mulder, though. It's kind of guy Mulder is.
Yeah.
He'd be like, well, I want to see what a boner feels like in somebody else's body.
He's very Castor Troy about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you would never want your body, Mulder, in your body, because he's kind of the villain of a body swap. They both are.
Yeah.
They're both the villains of a body swap.
Yes, they're both going to completely destroy each other's lives, but the difference is Mulder's like genuinely not trying to, and him trying his hardest not to is completely blowing this guy's life up.
Right. I just love that Mulder, he doesn't seem at all like, he's not like, oh man, this is going to fuck up a lot of stuff for me. Because he doesn't have a lot of stuff in his life. You know what I mean?
Mulder also doesn't think ahead.
No, that's
like
true.
He's not thinking about like the long-term effects of whatever damage this guy is doing as him.
Right.
Could be.
No, he doesn't.
He's a guy that drives a boat to the middle of the ocean and it explodes it so hard he travels through time.
He's a guy who watches pornography in a stranger's house in the middle of the night after assuming his identity.
Yeah, that's his MO.
Yeah. You want to get into fireable offenses?
Yes.
So obviously the bit is that Michael McKean is actually helping Mulder's career.
Yes.
But I want to point out at the beginning where Kirsch sits them down and says, I got a call from the Pentagon asking you to be punished. And imagine the Pentagon calling.
Yeah.
And being like, you need to do something about these people. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often for Mulder.
Well, I mean, now they've been put in the corner specifically by the shadow government.
Yes, it's just very funny.
Yeah.
When, like, the Pentagon calls your boss.
Right, because it's like the second week in a row after they've been explicitly told to stop doing X-Files shit that Mulder's just blatantly doing X-Files shit.
Oh, it's more than the second week in a row. Mulder has, so this is the whole thing. this season, the idea is you're off the X-Files. You have to do work for Kirsch, who is like, oh, he's the hard ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we're learning is that's not true at all. Because every episode, because they could have written this in a way where they're like, oh, they just keep accidentally falling into X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
But no, for Drive, Triangle, and this, Mulder, it started with Mulder just pursuing an X-File.
Yes.
In a state he's not supposed to be in.
Correct.
Yeah. He calls Scully at one point. He's like, you're in Nevada again. Because, like, they're not supposed to be there.
Nope.
Kirsch has to learn, like, hey, you know that guy that you said is off the X-Files? Well, he just tried to break into Area 51. You might want to do something about him. And this is after Scully, a week ago, Scully was like, Mulder crashed a boat into the Bermuda Triangle. And after that, Mulder engaged in a high-speed car chase with Bryan Cranston. It's just...
I mean, that all sounds awesome when you say it like that.
But, like, Kirsch is, like, isn't the point that Kirsch is just looking for a reason to fire Mulder? Like,
I think he seems to be cutting them a lot of breaks, but yeah, he's supposed to be the hard ass that's keeping their hands tied.
Right. And he really isn't.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah. They're, yeah. Whatever, like, Michael McKean can't save Mulder's career, is my point.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Any other fireable offenses?
No, it's really because he doesn't really have the chance to do anything. It's just the very beginning of the episode where he's blatantly disregarding his orders, driving out into Area 51 to get arrested by the military again.
Right. Yeah, he's got to get fired. All right, well, name the enabler. We're all the way up to that. I pushing for Kirsch. Because Kirsch is just the new Skinner.
Yeah, he's being very Skinnery in this episode. He's cutting them breaks again.
Yeah, it's like he showed up and he's like, we're gonna do things my way, and then someone was like, you can't. His dad's in the shadow government. And he's like, damn it.
Shit.
Like he can't fire him. He clearly can't fire him. He's once again Mulder's being enabled. I don't know who else. Mulder enables himself in the sense that he body swaps and then like barely does anything about it.
Yeah, Mulder's always going to be enabling himself.
Yeah.
I think the unique one in this episode is definitely Kirsch, for sure.
Yeah, I think Kirsch. Well, shit, that brings us to Crazy Like a Fox.
It sure does. Folks, this is the part of the episode where we assign a numerical rating from 1 to 10 to grade Mulder's behavior in the episode. 1 being fairly put together, responsible, professional, adult. 10 being, the grown-up little boy magician chasing aliens that he is.
Yeah. This isn't a 10.
It's not a 10, but I feel like it's close.
Yeah, because, the body swapping and the masturbating.
Well, the fact that his decision to just stay in this dude's house overnight when he could just leave, like you said, he could leave, go right back to Washington, and be like, we need to figure out what's happening to me.
Yes.
And then on top of the fact that Michael McKean, as we've said a few times now, has to just be so buck fucking wild for Scully to even notice that something is wrong with Mulder. It's
all right. So just on top of it, not only going to Washington to fix what's happening to him, but he is literally an X-File right now. And they keep talking about, like, maybe this is the chance to prove the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Mulder has body swapped with a man.
Yeah.
There's never a better time.
The time is now.
Yeah, I'm going to go find Scully. I'm going to leave this house. But again, he wants to find an alien or something.
It's all he wants.
Yeah.
It's all he's ever wanted. I would peg this at a 6 or a 7, I think.
I think I would say a 7. Because the porn really, like, that, it's a really upsetting thing to do in another person's body in their house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Michael McKean found out, he would be horrified by that.
Yeah, because he would be like, you saw the pictures of the kids, right? There's children that live here. Right.
Like, imagine he's just a house guest.
Yeah.
And he put on porn and left it on and fell asleep in the living room.
And left it on a weeknight. It's a fucking weeknight.
It's a weeknight, Mulder.
You goddamn Martian.
Yeah, that is really fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with a 7.
Okay, we'll give it a 7. I'm fine with a 7.
And oh man, what's gonna happen next week in the episode?
It's gonna be delightful.
How can you find out?
Oh man, how can you, Dave? Tell them how they can find out, how they can listen to part 2 of this episode.
Go to W and then another w.patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's GAME, gamefully unemployed, where we have not just this podcast, but another one called Tom and Jeff Watch Batman. We also have a third podcast called Star Trek: The Next Futurama. We watch movies with our patrons every Friday night. We watched Percy Jackson last Friday, so that's something to be excited about. So yeah, check it out. You won't regret it. You'll love it.
Yeah. We also have a store, tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed. We can get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. Check that out.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it. Yeah. And
hey, yeah, we'll see you next week if you decide to be a patron.
Happy Mulder Day.
Ah, man. Blessed Mulder Day to you and yours. Praise him.
Yeah. If you're good, he might come down your chimney and masturbate in your living room.
Yeah, he might come down your chimney and fall asleep in front of pornography in your living room.
Artwork for Fox Mulder's A Maniac is produced by Starlene Hodge. Follow her on Twitter at StarleneX, that's Starlene with an X, or check out her delightful webcomic at rubywhipple.com.